Welcome back to Hot Flashes and Cool Topics podcast. Today's conversation, Bridget and I are pinching ourselves. You know how we get those pinch moments because we have actress Linda Gray on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I so appreciate you inviting me. I know we're going to have a great time.
Oh, we're excited. I mean, we're very excited. Just calling off the recording, we were talking about how we love Dallas. You know,
Thank you.
Yeah, one of the biggest shows. And then we're going to talk about something coming up. So Colleen, can you talk about that?
Absolutely. So this week, your show on Lifetime is now airing. It's called Ladies of the 80s, A Diva's Christmas. So how did this, first off, like iconic women, the 5 women on the show, how did this come about?
I had no idea. I just remember getting so excited when the concept came up. And I was like, this is perfect. We're all, ladies of the 80s, and we all had a show and we're all recognizable, et cetera, et cetera. But to put us all together was some genius idea that somebody came up with. And I thought, I don't care who came up with it. I love it and I want to do it. And and then the women started, it got more exciting when it was like, Donna Mills and Lonnie and Morgan and Nicolette and me. And I was like, what a perfect mess of this fabulous soup of women. And let's go play. Let's go play. And that's what happened.
Oh, this is just thrilling to me. I mean, first of all of you are like the biggest show. I mean, to me, Dallas was really like the biggest show with the biggest storyline. And then these other women were on great shows as well. What was that dynamic like on the set?
Well, we've all known each other and we've seen each other at different events over the years. But we've never worked together. I think Morgan was on early on in the early days of Dallas. She was on, I think, connected with Bobby Ewing. But she and I never had a scene together. So, all these women that you know and you respect and you love, and then you get to work with them. I mean, that's a joyful moment when this happens. So, yeah, we all just were in the makeup trailer, giggling and laughing and reminiscing and telling stories. It was wonderful.
So the premise of this is that you are 5 soap opera stars, which again, brilliant idea. And it's a Christmas movie, so there's love, and you're trying to get this couple together. Did you guys ad lib a lot of it, or how did the set go?
Well, we didn't ad lib because when you ad lib, it throws the other actor off, because they're not used to hearing that kind of dialogue. It's like, oh, where are they going with this? So that a lot of that did not happen. So somebody told me later, they said, one of the girls, they said, oh, we ad-libbed during that scene. And you would never know it because it flowed. And I think if you can ad-lib and it still flows, and it's a comedy, you can get away with it because it doesn't throw the other actor. But then if you decide to ad lib and it throws the other actor, that's not cool. So not a lot was going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this premise of having these women all together, I'm thrilled, just like you are, to see it, because you don't see it a lot. We want more of that. I mean, just look at what we're doing on reality TV. Everybody's tuning into these Real Housewives things. Have you found that it's been harder to get roles, or are you just seeing more of this happening for women?
I think, it goes through phases where we're considered too old. I don't know for what, but they consider us too old. And I think they forgot that there's wisdom and there's life issues and there's things that the older women can bring to the table that the young ones can't. They just haven't lived long enough. It's not because we're old or they're young. It has nothing to do with that. It's like the yumminess of life comes at a certain point in your life. And when they can pick up on that and realize that we're not disposable, that's a key element for me. It's like, no, you can't throw us away. And I think they were very wise with the book club, those wonderful women that we know and love. Those women were, very amazing in the book club. They all were great. The men were great. And I think because the audience loved it, I think they were like, oh, hello, maybe older women have some value. And that's how I looked at it. It's like, are you kidding? You're now just waking up to that idea. So we all have value, every single one, young and old, but don't dispose of those who have crossed the over 40 line. It's just, that's to me negligent of a human being. You have to respect this.
Yes.
There's so much story to tell. There really is. And like you said, this kind of was the year of the 50+ actress, whether it's the Academy Awards or the Golden Globes. We are seeing a trend, and we're thrilled because we see ourselves when everyone's on, on film. And do you see roles starting to open up a little bit in the next?
I do. I don't think it's, it hasn't reached the level that we would like, but it is opening up, and people are paying attention, and I think that's how it first starts. It's like, okay, let's just be open-minded to the fact that you're not quote over the hill or whatever they want to say. Who cares? It's like, yeah, we're still a valuable commodity on the planet, and do not negate us and forget about us, and just keep going with only those people that are in their 20s. Not okay.
Right. And we're spending the money. I mean, the women in our age group are the ones spending the money. So
exactly.
Yeah. The advertisers would want to advertise on your show because we're the ones watching it. And yes.
We always say that it's a missed opportunity for a lot of companies that they aren't speaking to our demographic, because we have the disposable income. We're the ones who are loyal customers, and our kids are usually using our credit cards. I mean, they're young adults now, but our credit cards to buy things. So Bridget and I always talk about that missed opportunity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree.
Yes. And I mean, I'm so thrilled that they're having the show. I mean, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see it because I'm so excited.
Do you think there might be another one if this goes well? Do you think they might do another one?
Well, of course, on the set, because we had such a good time, we said, you know what? The girls could go to X place next time. And then our producer was like, oh, yes, that's a great idea. Aha. So sparks started flying. We're like, we could do this and we could do that. So at least there was a seed planted that there could be, I say nothing about that, but there could be another one. And why not? So we'll see how this goes and how the audience reacts. And I know that there's a lot of surprises in the script, which I love, and I'm one of them.
This will be so fun. This will be fun.
And it's out now. It's on Lifetime. Guys, check it out, because Bridget and I will talk about it after we get to watch it.
Right. Yes.
Your career has been absolutely amazing, and I know that you are most well known as Sue Ellen Ewing. Is that a character that you were able to put down, or do you still carry a piece of Sue Ellen with you?
No, I don't. I love her. I really want to have lunch with her sometime soon, because I just thought she was yummy. She was delicious, and I love it because we've all started somewhere, and then we grow and we change, and we have children, and we have this and this. Life happens to all of us, please God. And then I watched her become so powerful. And I remember during the reboot, Cynthia Cedray, who produced the reboot, she said, how would Sue Ellen change? Now, we were actors. Larry and Patrick and myself were invited, the three of us, to do the reboot. And we were thrilled because we were like three musketeers. And we always wanted to, work together doing something, but we couldn't because we were too well known. So when they called us and said, would you like to do a reboot? Now that's 20 years later. Same characters. I don't know of a lot of actors who get that opportunity, but we were thrilled. And we said, of course, we get to play with each other. So when that happened, Cynthia and I had lunch and she said, well, Sue Ellen would have changed. And I said, absolutely, she would change. So during that 20-year hiatus, what would she do? And I said, well, she would probably run for governor. And there was kind of a pause. And I said, why not? Because she knows all the men that JR knows. She knows all his dirty little tricks. She knows all the men that he has, paid off or done something to or whatever. And she knows all the women that he was involved with. Okay, so she knows a lot. And she could really be a powerful force to be reckoned with. So I brought that out. I said, I think that she should be on a par with him. So he can probably still be his nasty little self, but he would have a powerful ex-wife to manipulate or try to anyway. So anyway, that happened. And in the beginning of the reboot, Sue Ellen ran for governor. And then Cynthia came to me and she said, you have to lose. I said, why do I have to lose? And she said, because the capital is in Austin and we're doing a show called Dallas and we can't afford to keep flying you back and focus on Austin. Anyway, so I said, okay, if I have to lose, make it quick. Make it like pulling off a Band-Aid. Make it quick. So we did. We made it quick. She had to lose, but still she was in a very powerful position. And I think the dynamics between JR and Sue Ellen in the reboot were very powerful. And I just loved it. I loved going to work every day and seeing them and seeing the new kids who were wonderful. And it was just a delicious time to reboot the show and make it magic. So I think it happened.
Yeah, it's great. The character of Sue Ellen, you don't realize how much she really helped a lot of women. I mean, did you find that? Did you find that people
with the alcoholism,
with the alcoholism, having a husband that cheated on her all the time and everything that she went through? Did you find that from people did you get the message from people that she was helpful?
Oh yeah, I still do. Which it's so interesting because you realize the power of the show. It's just quite amazing how much it changed lives, because we went out on a limb. Sue Ellen, we blew out alcoholism. And those are my favorite scenes, by the way. I loved them. I loved doing it. And then, when Miss Ellie had a mastectomy, we delved into that. We went a lot of places, guaranteed, yes, they were over the top, but it was so powerful to a lot of people that they really paid attention. It's like, wow, I think I am drinking too much. Let's investigate that. Let's investigate the fact that there's adultery going on in this family. At that time, when it began, people didn't talk about much. Everything was under the rug. It's like, oh, well, let's see, maybe I'm drinking too much, but we don't talk about it. I'm only having a glass of wine a night or something like that. And then it was, oh, well, either I'm having an affair or my husband is having an affair, but nobody will talk about it. And Miss Ellie and her mastectomy, it's like, nobody talked about it. And then when Mrs. Ford admitted that she had an addiction problem and opened the Betty Ford Clinic, things started to open. It's like, oh, okay, there's a place we can go for help. There are 800 numbers started appearing. That was all early on when we started the show in 78. And I felt and watched this resurgence of there's hope. Even in my own family, nobody talked about anything. It was like, oh, well, no, don't say that. No, we'll talk about it later. Real things happened and nobody talks about it. So I just felt that the show was so powerful in that respect. And to this day, it still happens.
Wow, that is amazing. And I think it does help people feel like they're not alone. I always say that when people feel like they aren't alone and when they're addressed on a show that everybody's watching, that it is so helpful. And then you can heal after that. So
Exactly, because maybe in your own family, you could never bring up anything like that. We brought up the gay issue. We brought up, alcoholism, breast cancer. There were so many things that were brought up during that show that people go, oh, right, I remember that. But they remember it. Their soul remembers, their heart remembers it, and they do something about it. And that was the magic, and that was the power of the show, I think.
yes,
Can
absolutely.
you take us back to your audition, because it's such a great story about how you auditioned and how, in the beginning you weren't one of the main characters, but your chemistry was undeniable with Larry Hagman. So can you start and just tell us the story of your audition?
You sweetheart. Well, it's a story that, it's still so powerful to me because I remember it so clearly, and that was 1977. I was doing a series with Norman Lear, whom I adore, and he was so like he was just a trailblazer on so many levels. And for me, in 1977, to get the love and respect to work with him, for him, it was just amazing. And anyway, there was a casting director called Ruth Comforte. She was on our show, All That Glitters. And she was hired to cast the minor characters on Dallas. And so, she was casting, whoever the minor characters were. And so one day she called them and said, for the role of Sue Ellen Ewing, I would like you to see Linda Gray. Well, nobody knew who the hell I was. It was like, who's she and where? And she said, well, she's on the show with Norman Lear, and I would like you to take a moment and meet her. And so they finally gave me an audition time. It was Friday night at 5:00. And we all know Friday night at 5:00 in Hollywood in the 70s, nobody wanted to go anywhere except home, and they didn't want to have an audition. Plus, Mary Fran, do you remember Mary Fran? She was Bob Newhart's wife on the Newhart Show. She was a dear friend of mine. And they said, well, we already have kind of chosen Mary Fran to be Sue Ellen Ewing. And I thought, oh, no, that's my friend. I don't want to come in and, audition against her. So anyway, they talked me into it. Ruth talked me into it and said, okay, 5:00 Friday night. I thought, oh, no. So I went in. There was no script. There was nothing. But one of the writers had written sort of an audition script for me. And it was a one-way telephone conversation with J.R. Ewing. And I was on the other end of the phone, and J.R. said, well, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, darling, because I won't be able to get back home for John Ross's birthday party. And of course, Sue Ellen knew what he was going to do. He was not going to stay at the office. He was going to be with one of his ladies. So I played the other half of the phone conversation. And that was it. Very short, sweet. But I knew J.R. Ewing was not a nice person. So I drove home and I thought, okay, it's about 6:00 on Friday night, but I know I got that job. And I thought, why do I feel like that? Woman's intuition. I don't know what it was, but I knew I got that. And on Monday, they called And I was right. I did have that job, but I was so worried about Mary Fran. I thought, oh no. But, I didn't have anything to do. Sue Ellen was non-existent. I was still, one of the little players. And I was known on the set as the brunette on the couch. I didn't have a name. Nobody called me Sue Ellen. Nobody knew. Was I tennis pro? Was I, I don't know who I was, a next door neighbor. Nobody knew. And I just sat there as the brunette on the couch.
Wow.
That was my entry.
Oh my goodness.
Boy, did you become more than the woman
Yes,
on
on the couch. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the great lines, my famous great lines were, "More coffee, JR." That was one. It was like, oh, gee, that's really exciting. But then the fun part, because you're women and you know these things. The fun part was I was in Dallas, Texas, and I didn't have a lot to do. I mean, I had nothing to say and nothing to do. And so I didn't work many days. So, but I thought, I've never been in Dallas, Texas. I'm playing a very wealthy woman. How do I find out about these amazing women in Dallas, Texas? What are they like? So I went across the street, across the freeway from the motel that we were staying in. And I went to Neiman Marcus. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get my hair done. And I'm going to listen. I'm going to watch. Who are these women? Okay, I listened. I wanted to know who they were, how they were dressed, what kind of shoes they wore, what kind of outfits they wore. Purses were important, jewelry. And I started absorbing who these women were. And the next day I'd go back. And I just, I'd walk around, go to the handbag section, jewelry, absorb it, pull it all in. Who are these women? And I had the most wonderful time because I was gathering information I didn't get from the script. I was gathering information as an actor. Who is she? Who is this Sue Ellen Ewing, married to a very wealthy oil man in Dallas, Texas? What would she be like? And I remember one lady said to me, "Oh, I have to go home now. I have to fluff and fold." And I listened. I thought, what the hell is she talking about? Fluff and fold. I thought she was going to the laundry. I thought she was going to get her laundry done. Fluff and fold was like, she had to fluff and she had to fold to get ready for her husband. Well, that was like a new one. I thought, wow, I haven't heard that ever before. And then I went to a wonderful, very soon after the Neiman Marcus visit, I went to a black tie event in Dallas at the Mansion Hotel, very fancy. And there was a woman putting on lipstick and I was next to her and she had a little Judith Lieber bag about that big. And so we're standing doing our lipstick and her bag was open. And I looked in her bag and I thought, I couldn't help but look. I said, "Excuse me, is that a gun?" And she looked at me like, "Who are you?" And she said, "Of course, darling, this is Texas."
Wow. What? I mean, that is
Those are so
amazing
great.
research. I mean,
Oh,
what
so great.
research? Yeah, that is a great stories. I mean, my
I know
gosh.
it's sort of long, and I'm sorry to
No,
ramble on.
not
it.
oh, you're kidding me. We love that.
it. I love it. And just how helpful and how smart that was of you to do that on your, just to go
Well, I
find
didn't
how
have
to do it.
anything else to do. Honestly,
Yeah.
I was in a motel, an ugly motel across the freeway, and I thought, I got to do something here. I'm not going to sit in this motel. And so I would just gather, and that was really the most favorite time for me because I got to meet the people and I got to observe them, and they had no idea what I was doing, but I was just absolutely curious. I love to be curious because we don't know anything about so many things in life.
Right. I mean, this country's so big, and then you're going there. So when you said the gun was in the lady's purse, And that had to go right to the Who Shot JR and everything. Did you share that story with
You were
anybody
the
on
only
set?
one who knew, right?
Oh, you
About
knew, you knew. Hmm.
how
Well,
did you
you
keep
know,
that secret? How could you
The
possibly?
best, I think you should be able to tell you anything and you would keep the
Right.
secret.
that's it. What do you got? I got it all tucked away here. I'll be your
Yes.
favorite person to tell anything.
Right.
How you knew who shot you? I mean, there's certain times in your life that you remember when something horrible happened. Who shot JR that summer? We all remembered and talked about who do you think it is, and it has to be this person. Everyone had an opinion, but you actually knew and told no one. How did you manage
Nope.
that?
Well, the story right before that was the writers were in the writers' room, and they all sit around. They try to figure out storylines, etc. But when it came to the end of that particular season, they didn't know what to do. So they were like, "What the hell are we going to do to end this season?" And one of the writers said, "Why don't we just shoot the bastard?" And they thought, "Oh, why not? That's a good idea. Let's do it." And that's how it was. It was not supposed to be a big thing. And they just thought it was a great idea. And it was like, "Oh, great." And then it was such a great idea that everybody on the cast and the crew, because they didn't want anyone to know, we all shot Larry with a gun. And I had a water gun and blah, blah, blah. We were just silly actors playing around. But everybody, cast and crew, shot him. So that if somebody went out and went, "Oh, I know who shot him," blah, 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 it would be wrong. So anyway, they gave me they didn't give me a script. They gave me what they wanted me to say. They said, "You're going in the recording booth, and this is what you're going to say." And so I went by myself, trotted into the recording studio booth. It was a booth. And I said, "Kristen, it was you who shot JR." And if you see it again, anybody on the show sees it again, it was done in voiceover. And I was not on camera. Kristen was on camera. And that's how it was revealed. So I didn't think much about it until the explosion in the world happened. And was like, "Oh my God, I know who did it." And couldn't tell anybody. So because it
Wow.
kept going on and on and on, and that summer was horrible. My kids they didn't want to be with me. My kids, I mean, if we went to the market to get bread or anyway, some milk, they would say, "Oh my God," every 5 feet with the cart, people would stop and say, "Oh, I know you get asked this all the time, but who shot JR?" And I would just be like, "Oh my God." It was just on and on. But it was a fun summer. So
Oh,
I was happy
I can
afterward.
still see the magazine covers. I mean, I can imagine, when you're at the checkout, I can still see them, him
Yeah,
in his
right.
wheelchair and everything. I
Yes.
mean,
Oh my
yeah,
God. Yeah.
it was really something. Well, also wanted to talk about your theater career and, The Graduate, Mrs. Robinson. And now, if that was your legs in the original poster?
Yep.
Oh, that is that it's funny. I guess I didn't hear about that to maybe the early 2000s when you played the role. How did that happen?
Well, a photographer in the 60s, the poster was in the 60s. I think the film came out maybe 63, 67, something like that. Anyway, I was a model at that time. And one of my favorite photographers called and said, "Can you come in tomorrow? I've got a shot I have to do." Didn't say anything about what it was. And so I came in and he said, "I just need your legs." I said, "My legs? What?" And it was like, "Okay, that's kind of weird, but okay, I'll do it." And took an hour, and I did the stocking and the whole thing. And then, I mean, Dustin was not there, and but nobody was there. There was nothing. They just put my leg in I guess the graphics that they already had. Anyway, I did that in the 60s. And then years later, they called from London, and I think Morgan Fairchild was invited to do The Graduate on the London stage. And her manager was a friend of mine. And she said, oh, you know, Morgan's been invited to do The Graduate. And I said, oh, it's fabulous. And I said, if she turns it down, please call me. I would love to do that. Anyway, she called me and I said yes. And then here we go again about age. And then the London producer said, oh no, she's too old. And so I thought, oh shoot, here we go again. So anyway, long story short, I ended up playing the role and then being invited to replace Kathleen Turner on Broadway. And then I was invited to take it on a tour of the United States. So obviously I wasn't too old.
Right.
I just,
Right.
you know, I was hanging in there. But, you know, it's weird because, you know, to just have to kind of not prove yourself, but fight through the age thing. It's like so boring. And then when you do it, they go, oh, what a surprise. She did a good job. They're like, oh my God, you know, we're an actor, we're actors. We can do many things. And women, we can do anything. So, you know, I just think it's so weird and delightful when you surprise them. It's like, who are them? Who are they anyway? Anyway,
Yeah.
long story. I did it well. I loved it. I had a great time.
I think that's that has to be a fun role to play.
Oh my
too.
gosh, yes.
Oh,
You know,
Yes.
you talk about kind of breaking through these obstacles that so many women face and unfortunately continue to face. It should be old news by now, but it's not. But even when you were on Dallas and you wanted to direct one of the shows, they gave you such a hard time. Was it because you were a woman or was it because you were an actress on the show? What do you think? What reasoning did they give you?
well, their reasoning, you know, always surprised me. It was like, oh, that's good reasoning. Anyway, when it was at the end of season 8, I think season 8, and it was came time for us to negotiate new contract, new more money, whatever. I really wanted to direct, so I studied with a female, wonderful woman, a French female director. Her name was Lillian Chauvin, and Lillian had I met her and I told her I wanted to direct, and she said, "Well, you're not going to direct until I train you to do every single thing a director needs to know about directing." And I said, well, that's what I want. I don't want to be the woman who comes in and says, well, I'm on the show, I want to direct. No, I wanted to know exactly how to direct properly. And I want to know from a woman is a director. Anyway, long story short, I studied with her for a year. And when the negotiation time came up, they said, how much money do you want? Blah, blah, blah. I said, I want to direct one show, in the next 52 episodes. One. And they said, nope, no. And I said, but, you know, Patrick and Larry are directing. I don't want to, I'm only asking for one. I'm not asking for more money. I would just like to do one. Okay. So, no, they said, well, if that's all you want at the end, you're fired. And the end of season 8, they fired me. And they said, well, we can't, you know, we can't have that. That's the end of your negotiation. So I drove home and I was just stunned, actually stunned. I thought, wow. And then they said, oh, if you direct, all the women will want to direct. That was another great thing. And I said, okay. And I went to Barbara Bel Geddes, Victoria, Charlene, Susan Howard, any woman that was on the show. And I asked them if they would like to direct. And they all said, hell no, we don't want to direct. And I said, okay. So I trotted back and I said, I've asked all of them and they don't want to. So anyway, they let me go. And so I talked to Larry and I said, well, Larry, I won't see you next season. He said, what do you mean you won't see me? I said, well, I've just been fired. And he went crazy. And this is what he told me. He said, well, I'm going in to talk to them. And he said that he went in and he said, if she goes, I go. Good for Mr. Hagman. I hope that's what he said. Anyway, they called me back and they said, okay, we'll let you direct one in 52 episodes. And I thought, okay, I wanted to roll my eyes. I probably did. And, but I accepted. So then the fun part is that when I got my first script, I was so excited. I was like, yes, thank you, God. Thank you, everybody. I'm so excited. So I opened my first script, directed Linda Graves. This is so cool. Anyway, you know how Dallas is. They have two people in a bed, in an office, in a restaurant, in a hospital, two people mainly. My script was a costume ball on the island of Mauritius with two German shepherds, live dogs, gurneys, deaths, all kinds of stuff, and costumes. That was my script, the one they gave me to direct. And I thought, I know what you're doing. You're trying to bury me and tell me that this is way over my head. And, you know, I'll get to do one and out. And I took many, many, many deep breaths. And then they said, oh, yeah, we want you to get the sunrise, the Mauritius sunrise. And I said, okay. They said, so every day you and the director of photography go to Malibu, which was in place of Mauritius. You go to Malibu and get the sunrise shot. And I said, well, can we use the stock footage or anything? They said, no, you go and you do that. Well, I knew, again, that's what they were doing. They were trying to bury me. So I said, okay. So every day the director of photography and myself went to Malibu. And the way it turned out, there was no sunrise. It came up and it went into the fog, Malibu fog. And so I called them and I said, well, we've been there every day and we did not get a shot. And they ended up using stock footage, which really...
Unbelievable.
So these are little tidbits of things that really was like a baptism for me. It was like, okay, I get it, but I'm going to show you. And I kept leaping through hoop after hoop after hoop. And then I decided that I would go on all the talk shows and promote my directing debut. And I did, and we got great ratings. And I ended up doing 5. So it wasn't just one. I ended up doing 5, but it was tough. And it was long before. That's why I'm so thrilled. Like the director of our movie on Lifetime is a woman, and she was wonderful. And I just remember being so thrilled that was happening now, that the women, I'm sure they still go through a lot of hoops, but it's making a dent. And I thought, okay, I was one of the beginning ones that had to fought. I had to fight, and I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to fight. I just wanted a respect, and that's what it was.
Oh my goodness! I mean, I'm so grateful that you did stick with it and fight, because that sounds horrible. I mean, it sounds like so much stress and just everything on top of being in the show, you know, on top of that.
It was, but I just hung in there and did the best I could.
But it is because of women like you who hung in there, knew they had talent, were not afraid to say, no, I will show you that there are women like the director of what is the biggest one?
Diva.
You
talk about
Barbie.
Barbie. Greta Gerwig. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That there are women like the director of Barbie, because you sat and fought for what you believed in.
Yeah, it wasn't just me. There were so many that were on part of it, were just so eager to have a different expression. and show, but it was so challenging to show that you can do something else as well. You can be an actor, you can produce, you can act, you can write. There's so many avenues that anyone in any career, if you have a passion for it, you should be able to explore it and be respected for going there and give it a shot. If you don't, if you fail, okay, so big deal. You fail, you do something else. We don't give up. We just keep going, and we've all had setbacks, and we've all had, I tried that and I didn't like it, or I tried this and I love it, but you tried it. It's like, don't give up your passion.
We talk about that all the time on the show because so many women of our demographic feel like the best is over and that they don't want to try something new, but we're not afraid of trying anything new now.
Yes.
It's a privilege that we have earned to be able to say, I'll try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it's a life lesson. Just we move on.
Exactly. And that's the most important, I think. It's curiosity about what's out there. What haven't I tried? What can I do? How can I enhance this beautiful life that I've been given? Doesn't matter about age. You want to do something over there? I hiked the Camino de Santiago this May in Spain.
You did? Oh,
and it's like,
wow.
I wanted to do it and I did it and I loved it. But I moved my butt and I got over there and I did it. And I was so excited. It was like so life enriching. And I thought, that's what we need. Something that enriches our beautiful life that we've been given. And just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you said that my mother-in-law did that too. There was a movie with Martin Sheen. Was it The Way? And
yes.
And
we've had several guests say
that have done that, and that inspired her to want to do that. Yeah, I think that's so amazing, and I love it that people are sharing it, saying that, hey, you can do this. Don't listen to anybody that tells you can't do that. If you really want to do it, do it. So
what have you not done yet that you want to do?
Oh, I just moved into a new house. I don't think I want to do that again. Like, oh my God, boxes and things. And anyway, it was crazy. So I'm like, okay, I did that, check that box. And I'm just going to sort of hover here for a while. I'm not moving. That was something I was like, okay, I did that, and I'm happy and blah, blah, blah. But that was not on the bucket list. And it kind of happened. And, I survived. That's how I look at it. So now I got to start my new list about what else
to do next.
Right.
Our show has obviously the title Hot Flashes and Cool Topics. So we would be remiss not to bring up your journey through menopause and how you keep yourself healthy and excited. And because you look great and you could just feel an energy that coming just through the screen and talking to you, we could tell you have that energy. How was your journey and how do you stay so healthy?
Well, I think it's ongoing. I think, when we it's like, well, I'm going through menopause, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. I think sometimes we get stuck. It's like, okay, this is what happens during menopause. Okay, I've been there, done that, done the hot flashes, done the whole weird thing going on with our bodies. But instead, I choose to look at the good side. And I don't mean it's like, I just am this positive person. It's like, okay, this is happening to me. This means I am no longer going to have any children. This means this means my body's changing. This means my life is going to change in different ways. But to me, it wasn't negative because I wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't allow it to sort of take over my persona. Like, no, that was what it was. It was not easy, and not easy for a lot of people. And a lot of people just breeze through it like nothing happens. But I'm always very aware of what I eat, what I put in my body, and nothing I want to keep as healthy as possible. I'm 83. I loved walking in the Camino. I want to be healthy. I want to have great energy. And who's responsible for that? I don't want to blame anybody. I don't like to take medications of any kind. I don't know what they're doing. I want to take care of my body. If I need something, okay, great, I'll take something. But on the whole, I think right now, I think it's changing because I think there's a lot of things in our environment, a lot of chemicals in our food and water. I think they're messing with us in a very not such a great way. So I'm kind of like watching what we put in our body, and that makes a huge difference for me. I like to sleep. I mean, sleep's important. Eating is important. Water we drink is important. I think we need to focus a little bit more on that, because I think that that a lot of things are being given to us that should not be given to us in things that we can't control. And there's too many chemicals in our food and our water and the air we breathe. I think we just have to keep aware, not panic about anything or everything, but I think there's a time, and I think it's now, where we really have to focus and be aware of what's going on. Read the labels, do all the stuff they tell you to do, because I think it's a time where it's changing.
It is. Yes, it is very scary, and that's the thing that we have to think about, like, how are you going to feel afterwards? And just like you said, we are not sure sometimes what's being fed to us, what is in our food, and what's happening. And something is happening, because I
Yep.
feel like, why are so many people getting these illnesses that maybe weren't around before and happening to more and more people? So yeah, I
I
agree with
agree.
that one. Mhm.
How
Yeah,
how
I think you do your best to just try to keep ahead of it if you can. I don't know, just do your
you
best.
are you are, because honest, and I'm not gonna say you look fabulous for your age. I'm just saying you look
You
fabulous,
look
because you
fabulous.
do.
Yes.
You look and you look
Yeah.
happy, which is just wonderful to see. Bringing it back to the women on the Divas Christmas, how important is it for you on a personal level to have community, to have girlfriends that you could sit down and chat with and kind of go through this journey with?
Oh, I think it's very important. We all have our own journeys. Our journeys, to me, are to be respected. Yeah, sometimes you fly through it and have sort of stress-free life. Other times there's girlfriends that are just going through hell, and you just be there to be supportive. And I think a community is huge. It's huge. It's important. And really essential especially at this time when we don't really know what's going on. So you love and respect everybody and what they're going through.
Well, we absolutely love this conversation
Yes. Yes.
and are so incredibly appreciative of your time and what you're sharing and putting out into the world, because everybody go check out A Diva's Christmas, Ladies of the 80s, because it's just the idea of it is fantastic. So
I'm
Bridget and I
so excited.
cannot
I'm so excited. Yes, about
wait
it.
to
Yes.
Well,
share that.
Yes.
you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it because there's Sue Ellen is not there. She's not. She stayed home. She stayed
Yes.
home. She's gonna watch it with a glass of wine or something. I don't know.
Well, that's what Bridget and I will do. We'll sit
We'll
down and
do
watch
that.
it with a
We'll
glass
do
of
that. But
wine.
it's I'm just thrilled to see these women together, and I'm thrilled to see women like you just, living this great life, and just such a great, even though that's probably wasn't your ambition to be a role model, but you are. I think you're just sending this great message out there to women. So thank you so much.
No, thank you both. I've had the nicest time just
Oh,
getting to know you and talk a lot. I talked a lot. Wow.
no, and that's
That's
for
what we
please.
like. Yeah.
Please, you are welcome back anytime to
Anytime.
talk. We
Anytime.
Oh,
we
Yes.
love these conversations because we just think women just feel so seen and heard when they listen to these conversations. They're like, oh, okay, she's going through what I'm going through. I get it. I'm not
yeah.
alone.
Yep, that's
Mhm.
what it's all about, just like we just go through life and hold hands and, give everyone a little love because we all need that.
Absolutely. Well,
do.
thank you for going to your neighbors for the technical problems. We appreciate it.
I know, it's so weird. It's like, okay, can I borrow your house?
Oh,
In
that's
your
so
little
nice.
kitchen?
Thank
You
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 so
have a
much.
nice window view, whatever is behind you, but
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a golf course. It's pretty.
oh,
It's very
beautiful. Oh,
pretty. So
wonderful. Oh,
nice.
wow.
thank you so much, and we look forward to watching the show.
Thank you very much. I loved being on your show. Thanks.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.